相亲条件呀，媒人竟然不给我介绍对象。
I am 40 years old now, and I have shared my requirements for a blind date. However, the matchmaker is unwilling to introduce any potential partners to me. Could it be that my conditions are too high? I really don't think they are high at all. I hope my sisters can help me evaluate whether my conditions are too high. Firstly, I require the man to pay a bride price of 500,000 yuan, because in marriage, women often give more. I believe the bride price is a kind of protection for women, and this is completely reasonable. Secondly, I require the man's monthly salary to be at least 20,000 yuan. If he is divorced, I can actually accept that, but I make it clear that he can only bring his daughter. However, after marriage, his children cannot live with us. Thirdly, after marriage, I hope to bring my parents to live with us. I believe that a man who is not filial has no sense of responsibility. Fourth, regarding family finances, I want to manage them myself. I require the man to hand over 10,000 yuan of his salary every month to me as private savings, while another 10,000 yuan should be used for household expenses. Fifth, I hope the man's height is at least 1.76 meters, his age is under 40, he has good looks and good character. Sixth, the man must have a car and a house in the city, and the house must have at least 4 bedrooms and 2 living rooms. Personally, I believe these conditions are completely reasonable and not high at all. They are just the basic standards now. However, the matchmaker still says my conditions are too high and is unwilling to introduce any potential partners to me. Sisters, can you help me evaluate whether my conditions are similar to yours?
今天呢，我就跟大家说实话，为什么我们大龄剩女不着急结婚？
Today, I want to speak a truth. Why are we, the older single women, not in a hurry to get married? I'm already 39 years old, hold a PhD, and am an outstanding older single woman. Many people always think we should be in a rush to get married, but the truth is, the reason we're not in a hurry is precisely because we are too excellent. There simply aren't any men on the market who can match women as outstanding as us. In fact, we are quite pitiful. If you listen to what I have to say next, you might understand better why we think this way. First of all, after marriage, as a wife, you can't inherit your family's property, and the property of your in-laws has nothing to do with you, let alone being able to inherit it. After getting married, you will also have to bear the responsibility of having children, yet the children won't even have your surname. You will have to take care of the children, but you must also maintain financial independence. If you cannot earn money or have independence, society may not look at you favorably. After a divorce, you will still have nothing. Whether it's your fault or not, the outcome is usually that you will be labeled as someone who abandoned her husband and children. So the reason why older single women are not in a hurry to get married is that we have already seen through marriage. We work hard to study, to earn high degrees, to improve ourselves. This is actually to protect ourselves better. However, you men always say things about us highly educated women, thinking we have high requirements in matchmaking, but you have no idea how hard it is for women like us who are 39 years old. The reason we are cautious about marriage is actually because we don't want to settle anymore. We became excellent entirely through our own hard work and efforts, so why should we give up our careers and lives to become the person who has to take care of children and the household?
至今未婚未育。
I am 38 years old, a leftover woman, unmarried and childless. When I reflect on some moments from my past, I can't help but feel emotional. Once, I was filled with endless dreams and expectations, as if the future held infinite possibilities. Now, I have been worn down by the passage of time, leaving me almost unrecognizable. I still remember those days when I could decide to travel on a whim, pack my bag overnight, and set off. Sitting in a sleeper train, my heart was full of excitement and anticipation. That feeling of being energetic and vibrant seemed like it would never fade. Every trip made me feel thrilled and satisfied. But now, when I plan to travel, I first have to consider tickets, transportation, and hotels. I arrange everything, only to find myself procrastinating before departure. I think it over and over again, and in the end, I often give up the idea simply because I feel I would be traveling alone, without a boyfriend to accompany me. Not to mention, at my age, when I want to learn a new skill, I often deliberate for a long time but end up giving up. I remember in my 20s, when I wanted to learn guitar, I bought one the next day without any hesitation. But now, when I think about learning the harmonica or piano, I hesitate again and again. Finally, I convince myself to give up thinking, at this age, why bother? These changes remind me that time is indeed a butcher's knife, mercilessly wearing down my energy and motivation. In fact, I feel that it's not just the body that ages, it's also the youthful mindset filled with vitality and passion. Do you know? Aging doesn't happen as slowly as we imagine. It's a moment when you suddenly realize you're no longer young. Now, when I look back at the things I used to do when I was younger, I find that I am truly no longer capable, whether it's physical stamina or mental agility. In the past, I could accomplish tasks effortlessly, always completing them as I pleased. But now, I find myself lacking the courage and motivation. Unknowingly, we age like this, and I still find it hard to accept the fact that I am growing older. I have always imagined myself as someone in her 20s, always feeling in my heart that I am still young. But in reality, I am no longer young, although in my consciousness, I have never been able to change this feeling and still think of myself as that 18-year-old girl.
我今年呢39岁，硕士研究生毕业。
I am already 39 years old this year and a master's degree holder. To this day, I remain unmarried and childless, which many people would label as a high-quality older single woman. When people see that I have a stable job and a considerable income, they often ask, "Do you feel no anxiety even if you haven't gotten married?" Actually, that's not the case. To be honest, I do feel very anxious, especially after I turn 35. This sense of anxiety has reached its peak. I've found that as my standards for a partner have gradually risen, the overall quality of the men I meet through matchmaking has been steadily declining. My criteria for a partner are actually not high. They are at a normal level by today's societal standards. Firstly, a bride price of 580,000 yuan is required. Secondly, the man must own a car, a house, and have a certain amount of savings. Specifically, the house must be located in the city center, and the man's savings should be no less than 2 million yuan. Only under these conditions do I feel that a future married life can truly be carefree. However, reality often leaves me feeling helpless. Over the years, the men I've met through matchmaking have fallen far short of my expectations. Among the men I've encountered, many have only graduated from vocational colleges and have an annual salary of merely 30,000 to 40,000 yuan. Even those with bachelor's degrees often earn just 50,000 to 60,000 yuan per year. These men simply cannot afford to buy a house in the city center. Many of them are also typical month-to-month spenders with almost no savings. What's even more disheartening is that some men, even though they are already over 40 years old and have entered the later stages of their lives, still haven't accumulated any significant savings. Even so, these individuals are considered to have okay conditions. Some prospective matches have short-lived marriage histories, and many are divorced and come with children. When matchmakers introduce me to these men, I often find myself caught in a struggle of conflicting emotions. On one hand, I am well aware that I am not young anymore and indeed should settle down as soon as possible. But on the other hand, I realize that the men I meet, whether in terms of financial conditions or other aspects, fall far short of my expectations. I often reflect, since I've held out for so many years, wouldn't it be too much of a compromise to casually marry someone now? That would be a betrayal of my persistence. I firmly believe that marriage should be built on a foundation of shared values. The conditions of both parties need to be well matched, and they should share common goals for the future. Only such a marriage can lead to happiness. If two people are forced together, the relationship would be like a melon twisted off its vine. It can't possibly be sweet. A marriage born of compromise is unlikely to bring happiness, so I would rather continue waiting. The reality of being an older single woman is that we are constantly searching amidst anxiety. Although I am unwilling to settle for less, my heart is still filled with hope.
我今年39岁，这2年好多人帮忙介绍对象。
This year, I am already 39 years old. Over the past 2 years, many relatives and friends have introduced me to potential marriage partners. My parents have always had the mindset of any man will do, but I don't agree with that. Chinese New Year is approaching, and every time at this time of year, the thing I dread most is facing the criticisms and mockery of my relatives. Perhaps because I am feeling a little anxious, I've met a few potential suitors recently. However, what I didn't expect was that when I mentioned my 5 marriage conditions during a meal, the man immediately rejected me. He even went back and told the matchmaker that my requirements were too high, which left me feeling helpless. Considering my own situation, I think I am quite an excellent candidate. I don't think I'm unattractive, I'm 1.7 meters tall, have a graduate degree, and currently earn 15,000 yuan a month. So I believe the conditions I set are really not that high. They are just basic requirements, all aimed at ensuring a happy life after marriage. Here are my 5 specific conditions. First, the bride price needs to be 680,000 yuan. In addition, after marriage, you cannot come home late, and the latest time you can return home is 11 p.m. If you come home more than 5 times without notifying me in advance, then we can only part ways amicably. Second, we must hold a wedding banquet first, and then later, after I become pregnant or finish my month-long confinement period, we can go to register for our marriage certificate. If you don't agree, the bride price will not be refunded. Third, if the man cheats after marriage, for example, if he finds another woman, then we can only part ways amicably. Likewise, the bride price will not be refunded, and he will need to pay me 500,000 yuan as compensation for emotional distress. Fourth, if your mother falls ill, don't expect me to take care of her because my time is limited and I'm very busy with work. However, I will still try to find time to visit her. Your salary after marriage does not have to be handed over to me, but the man must cover the majority of the family expenses. Furthermore, I require that the man report his income details to me at the end of the year. If you cannot agree to this, then this marriage cannot continue, and we will have to part ways amicably with the bride price still not refunded. Fifth, I cannot accept cold violence or bringing up old grievances. Also, I don't like visiting relatives. If the man frequently asks me to go to his relatives' homes and I am unwilling to do so, please don't force me. If you insist on forcing me to go, then we are not compatible and we can only break up. The bride price will still not be refunded. After I clearly laid out these 5 conditions, the man was left speechless. After that, I never saw these men again. In fact, looking back at many of the suitors I've met, most of the situations were similar. Every time, the relationship ended because we couldn't reach an agreement on the conditions. Honestly, I really don't think these conditions are too high. They are completely to protect the quality of life for women after marriage and show a responsible attitude towards marriage. If a man cannot meet these basic conditions, then what is the point of marriage? I really don't understand why men today are so resistant to marriage conditions. Is it possible that there are only a few men in the world? I must not rush. I must find the right person to marry. There are plenty of men in the world.
是来自江西赣州的89年的蛇。
I am from Guangzhou, Jiangxi. Born in 1989. I am a snake according to the Chinese zodiac, and I am already 36 years old. I have not gotten married yet, which makes me what society calls a leftover woman. In this day and age, the number of older, unmarried men and women is becoming more and more common, and the pressure on people from my generation is increasing steadily. In the past, I was very firm about doing things my way. I used to tell others that my only requirement for marriage was to find someone I truly like. If I couldn't find that person, I would rather stay single. I have always believed that marriage is not something to be taken lightly. Why get married just for the sake of marriage? That would not only lead to unhappiness, but it would also hurt the other person and cause suffering for myself. I firmly believe that marriage should not just exist to deal with the daily grind. It should be because you've met someone you love and want to spend the rest of your life with, which is why you decide to marry. However, as I grow older, more and more people behind my back have started discussing my situation, and I feel the psychological pressure on me increasing day by day. Some even tell me directly, "Your standards can't be too high. Settle for someone who is good enough. If you don't get married or have kids, what will happen when you're old? Even if you save money, you'll be bullied in the nursing home because you don't have children." Others gossip behind my back saying, "You're too selfish, only thinking about yourself and never considering other people's feelings, not to mention your parents' thoughts." Sometimes, when I walk down the street, the looks from people around me seem to carry a strange kind of gaze, and I can hear them whispering or gossiping. My requirements aren't really that high. The key is that I have to feel something for him. He must be at least 1.75 meters tall and have his own career. He doesn't need to own a car, but he must have a house. It's that simple, yet I still can't find a satisfactory man. I've started to reflect on whether I should continue to stick to my ideals, pursuing my ideal marriage,
or whether I should compromise with the pressures of society and accept these external expectations.
你30日都还没结婚，你爸妈不着急呀？
Many people ask me, "You're already 32, why aren't you married yet? Isn't your mom worried? Doesn't she pressure you to get married?" I wonder why they think like this. I'm only 32, and I know many people around me who are still single at 35 or even 37 or 38. Besides, it's my parents' concern if they want me to get married, but why should I let their views on marriage be imposed on me? Just because they want to see me settle down, does that mean I should marry any man just for the sake of getting married? Marriage is a lifelong commitment for me, and I can't make such an important decision carelessly, nor should I just marry anyone. I've always had an ideal partner standard. My ideal partner should be mature and stable, someone who can offer me valuable advice and support in both career and life. Although it may seem like there are many men out there, very few meet these conditions. Even though I've put in a lot of effort these past few years, I still haven't found the right person. If I had, how could I still be single now? Many people also say I have high standards. I really don't think my standards are high. First, I'm not asking for someone with a lot of money. Second, I'm not demanding that he be handsome. I just hope to find someone whose conditions are similar to mine. For me, two people being together should complement each other and help each other improve. If the man I find is in worse shape than me and is unambitious, living a rather disheartened life, what would be the point of being with him? Would I be with him just to comfort myself, or to support him? I've always believed in a saying, if you blossom, butterflies will come. I've been working hard to improve myself in every aspect. Isn't this exactly to find a more suitable partner? If I can't find such a man, then I won't settle. I can choose to live alone, being single is fine, after all, it's my own choice. I'd rather live well on my own than settle just for the sake of getting married. This is the true voice of my heart.
Why are more and more older single women facing difficulties in marriage? And even more women may end up unmarried in the future. Many women still believe that there are many men eager to get married, and that there are nearly 40 million single men across the country. So women will definitely not have trouble getting married. The real reason, however, lies in the gender imbalance, which gives some women a sense of superiority, even thinking of themselves as queens. They end up being overly picky and delay the timing of their marriages. Some women believe they can find the best man, but by the time they're in their 30s, they've gone from being a new car to a second-hand car no one wants. This situation is heartbreaking, but it does reflect a certain truth. As for the unmarried statistics, the number of men is indeed much higher than that of women. However, from the perspective of those actually wanting to get married, it becomes a case of more women than men. While there are nearly 40 million single men, many of them do not meet the minimum standards set by women, such as having a house, a car, and savings, often requiring full payment for the house and car. Some men also face high bride price demands from women, which directly eliminates 80% of single men. The remaining 20%, though meeting the criteria, are not necessarily ready to marry. This is because they are concerned about the potential economic losses in case of divorce after marriage. As a result, this group of men prefers to stay single rather than marry. The few men who are both qualified and excellent are highly sought after by many women. But these men are not fools. They also have their own standards and hope to find women who can support their careers. Most men deep down wish to find a frugal and family-oriented wife, not one who simply relies on appearance and figure. Many older single women mistakenly think that enhancing their looks will improve their chances in marriage, but the reality may not be so. Appearance and figure are important, but if it's just external attraction, it can easily fade. In the long run, the overall qualities of an individual are far more critical for a lasting marriage. Whether men or women, both should view marriage rationally. Pay attention to whether they meet the necessary conditions, and avoid placing unrealistic demands on others while ignoring their own conditions. Do you agree with my views? Feel free to leave your comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. Your support means a lot to us, and we will continue to bring you better content. Thanks again for watching, and see you next time.